Hello, it's Dominique. This is part one of our series. The other video was the introduction. So I'm going to be showing you how I make the binder. So first of all, I want to show you that I've picked this paper for the cover. I'm going to use this part here. I've already cut my pieces of chipboard. By the way, this is medium white chipboard. So as you can see, this is the paper that I picked right here. Of course, I didn't want to take the whole thing because it would be too wide, because this is going to be, let me show you, it's going to be like this. So this is like pretty wide already. I wouldn't go any wider than that. But I really had to go that wide because I wanted to get the bird here all the way to the leaf, the last leaf, and I wanted to get some of the flower here. So I got this wide so you can see. And also I didn't go all the way too high because I wanted to keep this one here for another page, or I want to keep this nice layout here. So I've cut these pieces right here. I'm not giving you the measurements because the purpose of doing this is not to get the measurements, except when I do some techniques when you need to know how much gusset or whatever you need to put. So I'm gonna give you the measurements. So these is a 3. Now I'm deciding on, let's remove this, deciding on the hinges. So this one here is going to go, this is going to go like this, and this is going to go like this. This is pretty wide, but that's the way it's going to be. So what you want to do, depending on how big you want to make it, how thick you want to make your album, then you decide how much chipboard how much hinge you leave. So here I decided for 1.5 inches. But this one has to be a little smaller, not as wide, because what you're going to do is when you turn this like this, there's going to be something here, and there's going to be something on this one as well. So when you close them, there's a certain width that you're going to be using here. Like this one here is going to have a file, so I need maybe 1/4 inch for sure. And this one here, I decided I would make something, not just a photo mat. If you don't have much room, maybe you can decide at the end to do a photo mat instead of the interaction you wanted to make, but I suggest you plan your stuff before you start. Of course, you might have to change your plans, but do as much as you can. So I'm going to leave 3/8 of an inch here, and also you have the thickness of this here. So I removed 3/8 of an inch. So I have this one that's 1.5 inch, and this one is 1 1/8 inch. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Now I've decided to make the, like, sometimes I have to look for my words, sorry, I'm French speaking, so trying my best here. I'm gonna make like a little contour here of the paper. I picked this one first of all because they have pretty much the same here, so it's gonna make a nice contrast around the album. Second of all, because it doesn't have glitter. Sometimes when you have glitter, let me get one and show you. Well, I'm not going to tear it, but sometimes when you have glitter, what you do is when you fold it, it breaks. And then you can see like the underneath the paper that's covering your cardstock. So I've decided to take one that is just smooth and has a nice pattern, nice color. And also I've made a test before, just to make sure that when I fold it like this, it doesn't tear, which it doesn't, so I'm good. So I've cut, this is 12 by 12, so I've cut strips of 12 inches, and I've cut 3/4 of an inch. I think that's the least. Like, you can go more if you want, but don't go less, because when you have to score those in the center. And when you score them, sometimes you go a little crooked. It doesn't matter too much, but as long as you have enough, like this one, you see, is not exactly the same. It doesn't matter. It's just as long as you have enough here that will wrap around your chipboard and then leave you some space to bring your pattern paper to, not to the edge, but like maybe 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch. So you have to have enough. And also you have to think that you have the thickness of the cardstock, I mean the chipboard, that is going to take some of it. So you have to be careful that you have enough. So I've scored them all already. I use this little Fisker scoring tool. Just in case you don't know, I didn't know, but I figured it out, is that they have the large ball and the small ball here at the tip. The large ball is mostly for thinner paper or cardstock, and so that it goes into the little ditch here. And the smaller one is for thicker paper, so that it goes, if it's thick, if it's big and then it's thick, it will not go into the little ditch here. So you have to use a smaller one. That's what I figured out. So this is I've cut 8 of them. So I'm gonna fold them all. So I go like this, and then I go gradually so that it's straight. Because if you go, let me get one here. If you go all the way there, it'll be crooked there. So you have to kind of help it go straight. So always do that, every single one of them. I'm going to be fast here so that you don't have to wait too long, because I don't know how to stop my video or accelerate it. I don't have it's just a regular camera, so I don't have any equipment. And also I don't have the tripod, as you can see, so that's why I don't have the camera on top of me. So I'm trying to go sideways here. Maybe you won't like them. Maybe you won't like them at my videos that way. I'm sorry, but that's the only way I can do it. I thought I'd do them anyways, and then you can still learn from them. Okay, so what we do here, we cut an angle, but I do not cut all the way to the tip, because you need the thickness, especially that's for the corners that we're cutting this. So I need the thickness here, so I want to go like this. I just left a little bit so that when I wrap it, I still have that spot here, so it's covering all the way to the corner of the chipboard. So this is the first one. So the thing is that you have to do is prepare your work this way. I use tacky glue always. Very, very rarely I would use the score tape. They're very expensive. I don't want my stuff to be too expensive. Here I put all the glue all around. I mean the whole way. But what I would suggest is that after you've done this here, and you make sure you press this way here so that it's all the way in, and you have, it goes all the way here. Put that here. So what I would suggest is that you get this to stop in the hinge, because I'm going to cover the hinge with some fabric. So I'm gonna make sure that it stops there on the hinge, because I don't want to have like it crosses here and it shows. Now I'm gonna put a little bit more glue here because I kind of had it removed. Okay, now the space you have to leave between the two is, I would say, 1/8 of an inch, because you're going to fold it. When you fold it, the two parts here have to come like this. So you need quite a bit of paper underneath. So this is why I do it that way. Okay, now I've got another one. This one is going to go from one hinge to the other. If you have 6x6, you might be able to go, or less than 6x6, you might be able to go all the way to 1 inch, and then just a little part that you need. But here I'm going to go, I have to cross at least 1/4 of an inch so that it stays there. So I'm going to stop here. And as you noticed, I'm not folding the whole thing. I'm letting it dry to make sure that it doesn't bend the way that you don't want it to. Okay. So like 1/8 of an inch here. Same here. And then the last one will be from the tip here to around here. So I'm going to cut an approximate here, as long as the seam, if I could call it that way, is on the hinge and crossing at least a quarter of an inch. So here again, I'm going to cut this not all the way to the tip. I leave like 1/16 or I would say 1/32 of an inch. I put the glue on this side. I need my mat. I don't have much length of mat here, so I'm going to push it a little bit. As long as the tip is right, it's all the way in. If you have a little bit that is hanging here at the end, you could always cut it after. As long as you have enough. It's better to have a little bit too much than not enough. And here I'm going to make sure this is right. And this one too. And all the way in. I push it in to make sure that it's all the way in. Okay. I'm going to do the same with the other side. I'm going to be a little faster here. Make sure you put the glue on the right side. So this is a little trickier because you don't want to move too much, and then you still have to pick your pieces and put them on top. So this is on the tip here, all the way in. All the way in here. And what I like about wet glue is that you have some mercy here. You have, you can, oh, this is coming out. You can still play with your stuff after you've put it on. It's still not all dry, so you're good. This is a little tricky because it's so wide. Maybe I should have done this part and then do the other part. I would have been smarter, I think. See, I'm still learning. You learn every day. Totally. Okay, here I'm going to cut this here, wherever, as long as it's within the spine section. Okay, I'm going to do that one after. Now I have this one here that will go from one spine to the other spine. I hope this is that my video is not getting blurry. Sometimes it gets all blurred. We can't see nothing. But that I don't know if it's happening, and I will not redo the video because I don't want to redo the whole process of what I'm making right now. Okay. See that this one here is not quite long enough, but I'm going to play on it a little bit and try and get it right. So you leave the same amount that you've left here, pretty much. Trying to. And then all the way in. This one too. And then I'm going to put this one here. More glue on this one. To make it, to put it where it should be. All the way in. And then I'm going to take another one here. Cut the corner here. Sure it's the right length, approximate. It's going to go within here. To the tip. All the way in. And then at the right, here has to be right. So I think I'm pretty good here. Looks like it's good. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit. Now I'm gonna put some glue here for the seam of the pieces. Just a little bit, not too much. If you put too much glue, your paper gets soggy, and then you can't do anything, and it gets all, how should I say, waggly. Like your paper is, not this because it's chipboard, but when you're working with paper, it's all wavy and not straight, not flat, so you don't like that. Okay, I'll make sure that everything is right here. Okay, now I don't have a bone folder. I used to have one. I lost it. So what I'm using now is my ruler. Where's my ruler? It's right here. I use a plastic ruler. Does the same trick. So here you have to be careful because it's not dry, but you can still start working on the one that you've done earlier. See, this one is breaking a little bit, so you have to be careful when you use this one. Not to go too strong, not to press too hard on it because it breaks the cardstock. So here I'm folding and I'm flattening at the same time. Folding, flattening, folding, flattening, folding. So to make sure that it's all the way in. I'm not gluing it right now. I'm just preparing by just folding where it should go so that you don't feel too much in a rush. Because after you put the glue, you want to be careful not to goof. So this is going to be pretty much how I'm going to do this. This one is not quite dry, the part that I've already done, so I can do it like this. But I wanted to do it like this so that I would kind of flatten it before I fold it, or as I fold it. So this one is pretty much ready. So I'll let this one dry still a little bit more. So I'm going to put the glue on this one and just fold it. Not too much, but make sure you have some all over. Oh, just come, Linda. I'm filming, but you can come. Linda, you can come, but I'm filming a video. Just a second. You can come. I'm filming a video, but you can come. Almost ready. Almost done. Making a tutorial. So I'm putting the glue right here.
I'm just gonna go.
And sit right here.
I have to go to Wells Fargo and do a bunch of running around. Okay. I just didn't want you to be waiting for me. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry, I had a friend that came. Okay, so this is it, like this. Here, and this here. So here you have some glue that came. Remove it all the time before you go back. Otherwise, you'll have glue on your paper. This one is kind of shiny, so that's why I'm not. It doesn't matter. It's easy to remove. This is one something that I like about this paper. But if it's regular cardstock that's kind of not shiny, matte, I would say, then I always remove my glue here. Even if you work with a bone folder, it would do the same. So here I see that I don't have enough glue, so I will add some. I take a little tip of whatever, and I just go underneath and add it. And then I go like this. You don't go like this because it's gonna go, the glue is gonna go on your paper. So you want to go like this towards the center. A bit more here. I'm gonna put a little bit more here. This is different probably from what you've seen on other tutorials, but it's nice to see different things once in a while. So I'm gonna do the same on this, but yeah, I guess I have to do it. Okay, so this is all good. You make sure that it's all the way in before you fold it, so it's not crooked. Glue. I hope I'm making sense here. I don't know. This is my first tutorial. I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, I know what I'm doing, but I mean, I have no idea what it's gonna turn out. Go towards the center. These are little tricks that might make a difference when you work because you don't see them much. have my craft room in my future house, I'm gonna have bigger than this. I'm gonna have like the whole table of mats to work on. Have to keep going because the glue doesn't always stick. So it goes like this, like this. Takes a while, you have to be patient, but make it right. So before it's all dried, I go again like this for flattening everything here to make sure that it's nice. And to the bottom, I mean all the way into the piece of chipboard. It's already looking pretty good to me. Pretty happy. This one I put a little bit more glue so I don't have to add any. And then here, you do the same here. So I'm gonna do the little tip here, not all the way to the tip. But here's very important to measure. You have to have at least what it takes to go there. And I would add like just a little more, just in case I didn't cut enough. And after you could always cut a little tip that's hanging there. So before I go there, I'm gonna check. See, it's not so much longer, so I would rather put a little bit more and cut it afterwards than not having any and have to cut another piece. Trying to save those papers, they're expensive and you don't want to waste them. So you do this here, the little tips together. I'll let it dry. I'll work on the other one. A little bit more, just in case. Measure again. Perfect. All the way in. Press it hard. Press here too. Make sure that the glue sticks really well. And I am not going to finish this one right now because it's still wet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover the hinges because you need to have some strength, because you open close all the time. Those albums will be opening closing all the time, so you want it to be sturdy. So what we're gonna do is, I needed more glue here. Make sure that it's all nice and glued on, because after that you will not have any access. So here I will measure. So here we have some letters, so I make sure it's the right size. Would be that way, it wouldn't look too good, but anyways. So here I would say half an inch. So I would go all the way to here, and then I go just to cover the little bands that I've put, because after I put my pages here, I will probably put a strip of paper and it would cover all the way here. So you don't want to have like two pieces that go at the same length. So I make it really just to cover here, like 1/32 of an inch, same here, but here half an inch on each side. So I'm going to cut two of those, well, just the one here, because they're not the same width. So that's the one here. And now I'm going to do this one here again. Half an inch here and half an inch here. And then, so that's done. And then I'm going to cut the two pieces together. It doesn't matter if they're not the same length, because it's going to be covered with paper anyways. So I cut the two of them this way. So that's what it is right here. So I've got this one here and this one here. And I'm going to glue that on. And I will do the same on the other side, even though I'm going to put some fabric there. Fabric is very soft, so I think it wouldn't give enough strength to the spine. So I would put another one here. So I'll be doing that, and I will be gluing these two the same as I did here. And then I'll come back with the covering with the fabric, and also covering the outside, or the covers, the outside of the covers, on the next video. So that's all for today. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.